Thanks everyone for coming. Appreciate it. So this is our workshop on Carter House, and we have the expedition for Carter House as well. Myself, Kelly Rade, and Tiffany Bean will be presenting it today. And this is all funded through the Bermuda Education Network. So Ben has a book club for P1s and preschool students, just to foster that love of reading at a really early age. They have a coders, and we have a coders and engineering club for high school students. And we have this Horizons program, which has field trips and blends across curricular workshops and provides lesson plans for teachers. And all of our information is kind of put together in like a little database you can find all on our website. And we also do a summer camp for children who are approaching grade level in the end of P3. So not children who drastically need intervention, but children just need an extra little boost. We did that last summer, and it was a great experience. We have tutoring in the afternoon, one-on-one tutoring, and it's all free of charge for a 3-week camp for parents. So I am Kelly. I'm also the director of that summer camp. I'm currently working at Summersfield Academy, but before that, I was in the ministry for 10 years. And before that, I worked for Mount St. Agnes Academy. So I've been in private and public. I currently teach P2 through P4, and I've taught P3 and P5 as well. So
good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tiffany Bean. I am a wife, mother. I have 3 boys, so I'm very busy. I am currently the P4 teacher at Purvis Primary, so I've been there for some years. And I also tutor at the Reading Clinic. I do the ICANN math program there. And this is my 2nd year being a network teacher with Ben.
Okay. Now who wants to introduce themselves? I see Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Jeremiah Fox. I work at St. George's Prep in P4.
Okay. And Ms. Matthew?
Afternoon. My name is Candice Matthew, and I teach P4 here at Northlands Primary.
Great, thank you for joining us today. All right, so we're going to just jump right in.
One more.
Okay.
My name is Paula Danielson. I teach P4 at Northlands Primary as well.
Look at our numbers just increasing like crazy. Wonderful. And then we know it's a hard time, especially after school, and we're right on the cusp of Christmas concerts and holiday craziness for the kids get into. So we understand if you can't make workshops, but we always post them, or if you miss anything, we always post our videos. Steph does a fantastic job of editing them all up and putting them on our website.
You can leave that.
Steph, would you mind just popping that link into the chat? So we just want to do a quick Menti on what comes to mind when you think of Carter House. Have you been to Carter House? Right, I'm going to stop my share so you can answer that, and then I'm going to pull up the next part. So write in whatever you think comes to mind when you think of Carter House. All right, so here's what we've got so far. Can you see it now? We got a lot of historical, it's old. There was a farm, whale. Oh yeah, there's whaling information over there. It's a museum, settlers. Yes, brilliant, nailed it. All right, so our first lesson is going to be on bartering. Tiffany, can you explain this one for us?
Sure. So the first lesson is definitely going to come from the book. I don't know if you guys do you have your books already? Yeah. All right. So first glance, it's probably going to look very simple, but you can get a lot out of it. It doesn't have a lot of words, but pictures obviously are great. I don't know if you guys have done the See, Think, Wonder routine yet with your students, but that's a great way to start. The cover is great for that. There's a lot going on in the cover. So you could do a See, Think, Wonder routine and just ask the students, what do you see when you look at the front? What are you thinking about? What are you wondering about? And it's a lot going on, right? There's a lot of things happening on this front cover. So they're going to spill off various different answers. So that's an easy 10 minutes of your lesson right there. You might probably have to reel it in a bit. So then you're going to start your discussion on what it means to swap something. The cover of this book, the book is called Swap. So what does it mean to swap? They're probably going to say, oh, I swapped Pokemon card to so-and-so yesterday, or I did this. So they have an idea of what swapping is. So then you're going to bring it into, well, that's the same as bartering, right? So it's like when you're swapping something, instead of buying it with money, you're swapping it for something else. And you can kind of go into how when you're swapping things, obviously things have different values to people, right? I might think something is super valuable and someone else might think it's not so valuable. So I can swap out different things based on what I feel or what they feel is valuable. And that's exactly what the book is about, right? They're swapping out things like a button for something that's going to help him to build his boat or make his boat better. But they don't realize that when they're swapping it, but you know, he has a goal and it's valuable to him, but they're like, oh, we don't need these flags and we don't need these things. It's not valuable to us, but it's valuable to this person. So the first lesson is basically just getting them to understand the what swapping is, bartering is. And then you're going to do a barter activity, which will be really fun for them. So make sure they understand that bartering is swapping, and have them sitting in a circle, give them random objects. You can bring in objects from home or just objects around your classroom. I'm sure you guys have a lot of stuff in your rooms like I do. And just give them random objects and let them choose one student to start and have them either ask the person to their left or right to trade objects. You know, it could be simple as a stapler and a notebook. For me, I'm going to choose the notebook because I love writing. So that's valuable to me, right? So I might want to keep that, but that might not be valuable to somebody else. So we're going to see, you're going to show them about the swapping and how bartering used to be back in the day. They didn't have money to buy things, so they were trading. So that game can continue on, and then you can have a discussion. Well, why did you decide to keep this item? Why is it valuable to you? Or why did you decide to swap it, give it away? So that's a nice starter. And then what I really like at the end of this lesson is ask students to vote who ended up with the most valuable object, right? So who had the most valuable object? And it's interesting just, I'm sure, to see what their answers would be and what's valuable to a 9-year-old. Yeah, so that's the first lesson there. Again, very simple and based off of the book. So you don't have to use the front cover. You can use any one of the pages in the book to do that See, Think, Wonder routine. But it's a great resource for bartering. All right, and this second lesson is just basically bartering again. So you're just going to continue, make sure that you review, all right, what is bartering? Make sure you're hitting that vocabulary term so they understand what bartering means. And then we're just getting specific into the standards now, right? So identify various types of payments that could have been made to an investor up to 1684. So they could have use tobacco, land, ambergris. Did I pronounce that correctly? Ambergris. Yeah, that's a interesting word. But you make sure that you let them understand which items they could have traded or used for bartering up into 1684. And then what they can do as an activity is make somewhat of a brochure. You can just use paper. I've done this before with a different activity, and I've used cardstock. It's harder, more durable, and just have them make a brochure of all of the items that they could have used to barter back in the day. So just it's like an art activity as well, and just getting them to have it all down. You could display it in your classroom, and then have a closing discussion, which will lead you into your next lesson. Do you think money would have made trading easier? Why or why not? And that kind of helps you to get into leading into that that first form of money, which was the hog penny, when they started introducing that. All right. Any questions so far? Also, I didn't put this on the lesson, but I just want to also say that you can even use this book for for math, for some do nows for your math. You can tie this in because they talk about like I would trade 2 sails for 2 ship wheels, or 1 ship wheel for 3 hats. So you can even do like an introduction to one of your lessons, like a little math word problem. If you had 3 birds and you traded it for 2 hats, how many birds did you have left? You know, just like a brain teaser. So you can introduce math as well in here, just putting that out there.
Awesome. And then Steph in our office found this great video quick video just explaining how this guy in Canada started off with a paperclip and started bartering until he got himself a house. So, thoughts on that before I jump into the next lesson? Did you ever imagine people were still trading today? And besides Pokemon cards and just kids on the playground, that people were actually doing this and getting a house out of it?
Hey,
No.
it's worth a try. I'll try it.
I know, right? All right, so this next lesson is also, I think some of you might have already gotten to it, but can be used as a review, just so the kids have it fresh in their mind when they go to Carter House, who like the players were at that time period. So it's a jigsaw and reviewing important people from Bermuda history. So we've got Diego Ramirez, we got Ventura, Juan de Bermudez, Sir George Summers, all the major players. Oh, and Christopher Carter as well. So what they're going to do is make a Bermuda histogram page for those people. What hashtags would they use? What types of, why would they have famous or historical friends at that time period? Who did they know? What types of things did they like? And then, I'll show you it first. Let's see. So this is my example. I did Sir George Summers. So he's saying, oh, I'm so excited for my next journey. Bermuda's been great and cahows are delicious, but I'm off to Jamestown settlement to deliver more supplies. Hashtag travel, hashtag Bermuda, hashtag Admiral, Explorer Life, Shipwreck Survivor, Jamestown, Settler, Sea Venture, Adventure, and Privateer. And then I put as like some of his followers would have been King James, Thomas Gates, the Virginia Company, and Christopher Carter. So it's going to like tie it all in. So it looks like a fun little silly activity, but they're actually showing a lot of knowledge around it. And then I was playing with I was going to put 5 million likes, but then I'm like, did he know the 5 million people? And you can kind of talk about that aspect as well. Back then, we didn't know as many people as we do now because it's not as easy to connect. And these were explorers and they were going to new lands, but they probably didn't know 1 million people. And then on the website, there are blank ones for you to print off. So within that though, I only chose probably a handful of people. Feel free to add more in, but if they want to double up and, have a little table where they're all working on Sir George Summers or a table where they're working on Thomas Gates and they can work together. And then to sum it up at the end, they're going to present them like jigsaw fashion. And then I really like this concept we just used in my class the other day called glow and grow. So when you're providing feedback, you say something that glowed about it. Wow, that was amazing. I wouldn't have thought of that hashtag. That was really in depth. And a grow would be like, okay, well, I don't think you drew that picture. It's a great idea, but you could add more detail. Or I couldn't tell where he was. Maybe you should have had a Bermuda background in the picture. So it's one thing that you really like, and then something that just needed a little extra. So the kids are practicing giving that creative, constructive criticism and building that community and inspiring and talking to each other. And our next one is a game. So this ties into describing the influence of Bermuda's geographical location and ability of resources. So this is all on the website, but I think it's easier if you see it first. So it's voyage to Jamestown. The Jamestown settlement is in trouble. Start your voyage in Plymouth, England, and bring supplies to Jamestown so the settlers do not starve. Roll the dice to see how many spaces you can move. Look out, if you land on the Jolly Roger, you've been struck by pirates and you've got to go back 2 spaces. If you hit a shipwreck, and then it's a little picture of the shipwreck, and these are all the icons on the board. Return to Plymouth, so you got to go all the way back to start. Beware of hurricanes, landing on one will send you back 4 spaces. So each time you successfully make it from Jamestown to Plymouth, you earn 10 points. And then you start your journey all the way back. No, sorry, I took that back. I didn't want them to start back. So then they would have to, because it's not as though back then they just jumped there and caught a flight and went back. They had to travel all the way back. So it's to get 10 points, you have to go all the way there, back, and then get 10 points when you arrive again. Or you could choose to go to Bermuda for supplies instead. So talk about how that's a much shorter trip. Why would you choose to go there? And then that only gets you 5 points though. And the first player to win 25 points wins. And then I also threw in, just for a little more social studies content, our Bermuda motto at the bottom there. Give them an extra point if they know what that means. And then this is your game board. So they roll the dice. So if they landed on the pirate, they've got to go back. If they land on a hurricane, they've got to go back. or shipwrecks. Notice there's a lot more shipwrecks around Bermuda and pirates. So it's an easier, quick little jaunt, but you gotta count out your spaces and make sure, do you want to risk it and go to a shipwreck? Or, do you think you can take your chances with that hurricane? And then I found this extra bartering game as well. This isn't in one of the lessons, but it's just a little extra fun activity I found. So this is on the website as well, I believe. If it's not there today, it'll be up there soon. So it's a bartering game. Another one where there are games designed for 4 to 8 players, and then there's lists of cards. So you want to try and trade, so you have all the basic needs. So you're gonna need clothing to keep warm, seeds to grow crops, chickens and cows to eat, horses for transportation, water, a doctor to help you when you're sick. That's gonna be really important on your settlement. Water, wood for building a house, fuel for cooking and warmth, tools for building, and wheat for bread. So you shuffle up all the cards, and then they're starting to trade them. And I believe it's the first person. So first person to get 10 of the basic needs wins. And then sometimes nobody's going to win. And guess what? That really happened to the settlers. You need to have all these things to survive. So this is just a cut and paste fun activity as well, just an extra enrichment. And that link will be on the Ben website as well. And then your magical field trip. Do you want to tell them a little bit about what they'll see when they get to Carter House?
Yeah, so I took my class last year, and they start off with a skit, which is really interesting. They're very interactive, so the children were focused, very into it. They have this little house. I think it's made out of, I don't know, what is it made of? It's just a makeshift house that they actually get to go into. It's on the side of this building here. And they kind of do their skit in there and tell the children how they were living during this time. It's very hot in there, so be prepared. But it has a lot of historic items in there. When you get into the house, they have whaling downstairs. So how we done it, we were split up in groups, and some went downstairs to look at some of the stuff for whaling. And then they have another room that has a lot of historic items. So just be sure to tell your class not to touch anything because it's very expensive. But they have things for farming, and just other basic items that they needed just to survive. They also have a lady outside who's making the corn dolls. That was a hit. So everybody wanted, it takes quite a bit of time, but everybody wanted to make one and take them home to their parents. And we do get to take them home, but it's a great experience. It's nice for them to see how things were during that time. And the skit as well was really interactive and fun. So I think you will have a blast.
And also just want to reiterate that those are older volunteers that are running the activities. They are extremely passionate about passing this on to the next generation of Bermudians. They want the kids to really be involved in these traditions and to carry them on. But they're not teachers. They are fantastic volunteers, but they're going to need help with crowd control. Be prepared to jump in right in and try and work with a little group, because Mrs. DeBraga is fantastic. She makes the dolls with them, but she's one person. So they've asked that, we split the groups up, and the max that they can handle at a time in the group, and because it's going to rotate in sections, it'd be 8. So just please keep that in mind when you're there and help out best you can. And they are dying to have you guys come. They are very excited about this. And this slide just shows all the standards that are in these lessons. So that's just a little overview of, in case your principal's asking which ones have you done yet? There you go. You can print that out and say, oh, I'm working on this week. And there's a lot of extra ones for the language arts as well, because I know you're moving towards the new Cambridge ones. So this is all the new Cambridge ones.
No, we were saying we're doing historical fiction right now in language. So this is.
Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. You can do a journal entry right after the field trip.
Mm-hmm.
That blends beautifully. We also ask that you keep in touch. Ben is here for teachers. That whole purpose is supporting teachers and students. So if there's anything else that you think, oh, it'd be really cool if we did this next year, or after you go on the field trip, or after you, run through some of these lessons, if you've got ideas, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We've got plenty of time to organize and add things in. Take lots of pictures, because Ben is a charity, so we have donors. And they love seeing pictures of the kids and, really getting involved in these lessons and out on the field trips. There's, I believe, a waiver to check for pictures, but even pictures of their work. So even if they go further and do that amazing historical fiction, send us that as well, and we can blend that in for next time. If they're not, I believe that most of the information is already up on the Bend website, ready to go. So it's just, if you just Google Bermuda Education Network, it pops up too, or this is there as well. And we just have a feedback form too, because we're constantly trying to improve on our workshops, even if it's as simple as like, oh, well, this time doesn't actually work for me, or you know what day is really good for me? Let us know, because we want to be here to support you the best that we possibly can. And we know you're extremely busy with everything going on. So this is the end of our workshop.